You got the Monolith 3, okay.
You won't respond to any of it, I bet.
The distances on Earth, Witsit. The distances on Earth are always going to be the same no matter what system you use. Okay, so I don't know why you would ask, are the distances different?
Okay, but you can see my frustration that being
argued with,
Kosho.
That's not what the question. Witsit, stop talking. That's not what the question is, though. The question is, what data are these systems using? And one of them is using totally different data and coming up with totally different models and ground-based towers. They can only use short range. They're using circular. They're using circular radiuses, and they're using only 3 of them. So
I know.
There's only 30. There's only 30 addresses.
Why is it that y'all have to straw man me, man? So everyone knows. This is what they do. They straw man me by acting like I'm incompetent, right? Because you have to assume major
sidetrack stuff.
Dude, guys, y'all don't want to let me fucking defend myself. Y'all are clowns.
You're just throwing accusations.
I was trying to respond to Kosho, but now you're just jumping in acting like the Gamma that you are.
I'm making a point right here.
Because you're just throwing accusations.
Shut up, Gamma. Shut up, Gamma. Shut up, Gamma. No one cares, Gamma.
There's no
you shut up.
Towers.
You shut up.
Contentions about satellites.
I mean, but what's this? Like, Kosho's not going to argue with like the data and the. It's time to really just show it, right? Like, be like,
Don, we get it. You think you're a secret king too, but whenever I'm about to respond,
me, dude, why are you being like that?
Because Don, you never hold your own side accountable. So I don't respect you. I don't care what you say you think about shit. No, I'm saying you're always in here. This is your little group of people, okay? And you never hold them accountable. God. Now, Kosho gave his response. As soon as I tried to Don, as soon as I tried to respond cordially, letting him get his full fucking point out, as soon as I try to respond, 5 people don't let me respond, and then someone else wants to ask me a new question and move on so they can act like I lost the last one. And then at the end of it, they say, look, we beat you in every point.
It is hard for you. It is messy. You're right. But let's just get to the. I'm saying the thing about are we agreeing or how the data? You and Kosho are going to understand how the data is coming in on the same page. So,
but why did this room disagree with it then, Don? That's what made this take so long.
Kosho.
I'm trying to agree. Listen, Don. The way I look at it is, let's get what we can all agree on that's just objective out of the way, and then we can move on to the part we disagree on, and with a substantive foundation and interpretation.
Seems like
right? Well, y'all don't want to do that because there you go. Interrupt me again, though, dude. So every time that I'm like, look, dude, we can at least agree on this. The distance between locations are the same. That data itself is exactly the same. What's different is you're going to map it out with the z-axis. Right. Now, they say they use satellites that orbit up in sky and shit. Everyone knows that, man. My point is that they use... I'm almost done. My point was that my point was that the use case itself, which is knowing where a location is relative to another one on Earth, pre-exists the GPS story where they say there are satellites. That's just objective.
But they said it still showed a ball, though, brother.
No, they didn't, brother.
Maybe, I could be wrong. They could be wrong, but they're saying that.
No, you're wrong. Loran had nothing to do with the ball, man. But Loran had nothing to do with the ball, though, Don.
In South America. So where's your data support that?
Satellites have longer.
Right? Isn't Loran going to show you South America and Australia being like as close as Northern Hemisphere type?
Loran in Australia and South America is going to show you Jack Diddley.
That's not true.
You
just make stuff up.
Wait, so can I join in for 1 second, please?
Yeah, you just make stuff up, dude. And what's so funny is you think satellites give us GPS. Listen, I was at an appointment 2 weeks ago, and it was where there was no service, and so it loaded up my route when I did have service, right? But then when I got there, the road that it had predetermined me to go on was blocked off because they were doing construction, and it wouldn't update it because it didn't have service. You people don't know anything. You have to use transmission from towers. You people act like there are satellites, and we have service all the time for GPS, and it's bullshit, and Loran predates it. You people are religious zealots.
Notice the huge lack of them in any place but North America and Europe.
Y'all are religious zealots,
bro. We always say Loran predates it. What's it saying? Why can't you show now how with Loran it showed the flat Earth map or whatever? Like,
wait, everyone here knows that though, dude. You just
But
are the
they
one that don't know
don't.
anything
They don't
about it.
know
So
that it
am I
matters.
am I your
And
teacher, Don? Do I have to run around and teach you everything?
Yes,
you
with
need to show the data.
No,
buddy.
I'm not
You need
this
to show
room's
the data.
bitch,
I'm
dude.
sorry, but Vern
Listen,
had you in
every
a
time I
corner.
go link something,
I
no
try
one
to
ever
humbly
even
agree with him.
concedes it.
You're getting
There is
personal
30,
rather than
there's
on
a
the
It's
data
as
data.
simple as
base.
this. It's as
God
simple as this.
damn.
They
Hold on for a
claim
second, Don.
satellites exist. The burden of
And
proof is
for
on them.
runner-up, we have
Satellites
Witsit.
exist.
First place,
Witsit,
nation
Shut
with
up,
belief.
percent.
Everybody can't
back
hear
up your
5
claim,
people at one time,
Witsit.
guys.
I posted an
Switch
image
the
of
burden of
all
proof all you want, but I want the burden of proof. I'll
There
happily
are
accept the
none in
burden of proof.
Australia.
Any
There are
side worth
none in
its
South
salt,
America. Hell, there's hardly any in Africa. Where are they, Witsit? I provided my show and proof. Where's yours?
I heard Africa.
Okay, can I ask a question though? What are you guys disagreeing on?
They don't fucking know. They disagree any words that come out of my mouth because they're 5-year-olds.
Because why does he
there
need
are
to
no
post
Lorraine
something that you all
random-
understand and know
Stacey,
about, right?
Stacey,
If you guys
Stacey,
know about it, why does he need to post it?
Stacy is the answer to the question that Witsit didn't know.
Oh, here goes a
You asked
straw
what
man,
he's
guaranteed, because you think you're a secret king.
disagreeing on is Witsit believes that the Loran system, the ground-based system, is conducted the exact same way that the satellite system of GPS
I did not fucking
They're
say
not.
that, Kosho.
Yeah, you said they're
Stop
conducted the same
muting
way.
me
They use
while
the same
Kosho
data. The
fucking
only
straw
difference is
mans
that
me.
one is
Shut
using
the fuck up.
a Z
Shut
axis.
the fuck up.
Everyone here
I
knows
did
you
not
said
say. I did not say they're exactly the same. You're a fucking 5-year-old. No, I did not. 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 I said that the use case pre-exists. There you go. I said that the
Right.
use case
He didn't
that
say that
GPS.
exactly, right.
Oh my God! I said that the use case that GPS is used for predates GPS with the Loran system. It didn't have a Z-axis. Now they model it different, mapping it out with a Z-axis. And of course, they claim that there are satellites way up there that are part of the triangulation of transmissions as opposed to on the surface. And now 5 times, Kosho has tried to strawman that shit, even though I fucking clarified it. This room needs to grow up.
So what are we disagreeing on? Kosho, what are we disagreeing on then?
Hey, Stacey, what's the difference between what I said he said and what he actually said? I just said he said that the same
said
thing.
that they were exactly. No, you didn't,
Z-axis.
Kosho. You said it was done exactly the same.
The same, and he never said that.
He said it's the same. The only difference is
the data points are the same. The methodology is not the same. Now you guys are claiming there's different methodology. You guys are claiming the methodology of satellites. You haven't proven it.
Can I join in for 1 second?
The methodology is totally different. One uses spheres.
I never said it wasn't, though. You're arguing against someone that's not arguing.
Circles.
Hang on, let Moyak speak for a sec.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to join in with the just a couple of seconds here. Yeah, with Loran, there's a database of towers. I'm not sure if that database is transmitted or whether every GPS knows where every Loran knows where it is. But there's hundreds and hundreds of towers. With GPS, there's an almanac message given out all around the Earth, and I'm just talking about the American GPS system. There's a almanac message that has perhaps 36 satellites in it, and that's the only information it uses for navigation. It uses the time delay between those locations, and those locations, there's only 36 choices. So how are we covering the entire Earth with 36 towers accurately showing the time delay between those towers and your location?
Okay, so there are way more towers than just 36. Now, whenever they used to use this, they were setting up the tallest towers they could to try to use the RAN the most efficiently they could, and then they migrated to what they claimed was a different type of system. But now we have towers everywhere. What you do is you compile the data sending from the towers all over the place, then you correlate that with the signal and transmission you receive from the bigger towers. So, are you saying Australia doesn't have towers all over it?
Pacific Ocean doesn't.
Okay, so you're saying that the way that we know that there are satellites in a medium that can exist is because of the ocean not having towers? Do you know that we have undersea cables?
Oh, how do they transmit up to the surface?
Wait, so we don't have undersea cables that transmit?
What does undersea cables have to do with GPS?
Well, we're talking about just sending transmissions. So what it is they have it mapped out all over the place from tower to tower using also underground cables and wires and undersea cables. We have this mapped out from transmission from point to point. This is objective.
Making sense anymore, man.
I'm not making sense anymore. That's
How
Kosho's
is an undersea
response.
cable going to transmit a signal that's going to do anything with locating where you are?
Are you saying you can't send a transmission from one location through an undersea cable to another location, Kosho?
For the purpose of locating something? What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, you correlate all of the differences, and then you factor that into the bigger Lorentz.
The Loran system is not a global system.
We've already talked about that part, dude.
The
You have to
system
add more
has
towers.
to be set up with its own set
You
of
have to
towers
add
for the
more
area it
towers.
wants to cover.
You have to add more towers. You have to add more towers,
more towers because you can't have global communications on any one frequency using surface radio.
You can't add more towers. That's your argument.
You can't have global. You can't have.
There is no global anything.
That's your belief, but that's not.
So it's not just saying that if you say the word global, somehow now the Earth's a ball, and that your point makes sense because it doesn't. You can't have global without it being a globe. Like, what kind of argument is that?
GPS is a global positioning system. It can tell you.
Okay, so it has the word globe on it. That's your argument.
Hold on. Can you let
the Loran system? The Loran system had to be set up for particular
We've already
areas,
talked about this,
you
though.
had to have information for Loran. You had to have information of the transmitters for the particular piece of, and it was, I believe, Loran is for sea only. It was for sea navigation only. So it's nowhere near as powerful and as versatile as GPS. It wasn't global. It wasn't
literally,
all-terrain,
we've already discussed this at the beginning.
It could not give you altitude as well.
Were you not here when we literally talked about that 3 times 10 minutes ago? And now you're fucking bringing it up at the end of the conversation. We've already talked about it because we've already talked about it. So what was my rebuttal then?
Your rebuttal.
He doesn't know he wasn't here. He missed the whole thing.
Everyone isn't here all the time, are they? So sometimes we.
Okay, so I should just sit in here and let people jump in and loop the same stupid ass questions 400 times, I guess.
Sometimes we have to recap.
Okay, so yeah, originally when this was built, they were using certain towers, and the accuracy, the most ensured accuracy was, of course, limiting the amount of distance between each tower. That increased the efficiency of the transmission and the consistency of them. No shit. Now, in order to map this out on a grander scale, you would have to continue to add towers everywhere. Well, good thing that here in 2020, we have towers all over the place, everywhere, every single part of the world, so it's very simple. And the parts that don't have a lot of towers, they can still get a correlated triangulation using the towers around them. This dude brought up Antarctica, and Antarctica has tons of towers. I mean, Australia.
Loran was for areas of sea navigation only.
No, it wasn't.
Loran was for sea navigation only.
You just make stuff up. Cite it.
But we aren't because we have GPS. You're just
Wait, cite the claim that Loran was only used for oversea communication. Cite it.
No, it was used for offshore navigation for boats.
Okay, so cite it that it was only used for overseas navigation.
He didn't say overseas. He says in the seas.
Okay, whatever. Cite it.
Same thing.
Cite it.
But rocket scientists provided a map. The rocket scientists give you a map there of Loran Sea.
So you just made up that it was only used over water. Are you going to cite it? Yes or no?
There is a citation. There's a map of Loran.
But it wasn't. It was used over land also, though.
It's all coastal waters.
Stations were both on water and land. So nice try.
But
clearly it's not. Relevant. I mean, you can see from the map. That's just.
Oh my god! Clearly it's not.
That's just a map showing how it was used over water.
That is not true. Are you going to say
they're showing you specifically how those towers were used over water, and you people are so incompetent. You think that means all? Imagine being. Well, we're the dumb ones, though.
Oh, actually, yeah.
You're denying the reality of the map.
You're denying the inevitability of the fact that you're showing a specific use case over the water, Jim.
Mimicry is maybe a good argument for you, but not that.
These people are pathetic.
Looking at these maps. Looking at these maps. Yeah, looking at these maps, it's clear that North America did do something to allow land navigation, but they appear to be the exception.
So y'all were wrong.
If you look, if you look, hardly any of Canada has got any.
Wait. So would you like to admit that you were wrong then?
None of Africa has got.
Okay, well you're not going to admit it, Jim. Are you going to admit you were wrong?
Has got any land navigation.
He's not going to admit it.
So no one in the room can admit they're wrong. It may just
map that's used to determine location, because I mean, basically we've gotten to the point with my conversation of we got 30 towers. We got the location for 30 towers in space, is what I'm calling towers, transmission sources. Now we use their location in order to determine our location on Earth. We take the known location of the satellite and then we put the math to it. Now the math is open source and you can do it yourself with the information that comes out of the GPS. Now I'm just wondering how Loran, giving you this false information, this, saying that there's not a tower, but there's a satellite somewhere covering me, and gets me to the right answer.
Okay, so is what's going to keep on happening is every time I'm explaining my stance, I get muted halfway through when someone wants to interrupt me because this is getting tired. No, I was literally responding.
I'm talking. Stop talking over me. Curve, do you hear? Jim, could somebody read my rap? Because I wrote a rap in response to Witsit's rap.
No, I'm not gonna rap that. Actually, it's probably a globe thing.
Could somebody read that? I just posted it in the chat box.
I think Witsit should read it.
Fuck no. The fuck?
I could read it.
You say your eyes were open, smoking dope, philosophizing wokeness. Denying science got you hoping. If you persist, you'll undo yourself. Wokeness, bro, you're hopeless. Flat Earth is what you're seeing. Why? Because they hide in some magical being. I just moved up. Hold on. You could be here learning instead of perpetuating disagreeing. Echo chamber is not a place for a party. I'm gonna mess up. That shit lives in your mind, in your head. It flat smacks all night instead of getting to bed. Another science class skipped again. There's still hope. You don't gotta be a dope. Science class is a party. Don't make you woke ass tardy.
What beat was playing in your head when you recited that?
That is the worst written reading, but the rap is pretty good. The actual delivery was questionable.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. That's so funny, Twit. Even though you're incapable of arguing any of the actual subject at all yourself. So, can we just move on?
That's not true.
Yeah, it is actually very true. So, okay, Twit, do you want to debate about the Earth real quick? Since I'm so stupid and a science denier, then exactly what science do I deny, Twit?
Be a debate.
I just want to know what science I deny, Twit. Hey, name one piece of science I deny, Twit.
That the Earth isn't flat?
That's not science. That's a measurement question. Do you know the difference between measurement and science, Twit?
All of astronomy, you deny all of that.
Astronomy's not a science. That's an observation. You just look in the sky and theoretically come up with mathematical equations to support postulations you can't substantiate. Next, what science do I deny, Twit? What science?
Do you have any citation to support the claim that astronomy is not a science?
Well, if all we're doing is looking into the sky and then we're theorizing what we think is going on, that isn't science. That's theoretics.
And that also isn't astronomy. So do you have a citation?
Yes, that is astronomy. Astronomy is defined as theoretical physics.
So you're just asserting that astronomy.
So if I cited, are you going to admit you were wrong, or for the fifth time today, just act like it never happened?
Yes, I will.
Because you're a gamma, Mel.
I want a respectable source that says astronomy is not
theoretical physics.
No. You said
that's what I'm saying. It's theoretical physics, so that isn't science.
It may well be. It may well be, but you said it's not a science.
And I explained why. So are you disagreeing with the theoretical part, yes or no?
I'm disagreeing with your explanation. So
no, you're asking me to go find a citation we know that doesn't exist from higher education that says astronomy isn't science because you're a 5-year-old. I said it isn't science because it's theoretical. Do you disagree or agree that it's theoretical?
Yes, I
disagree that it's theoretical only.
All they're doing is
exactly all of them agree that it's theoretical only.
Lots of sciences have a theoretical and a practical side.
Yeah, so I deny science. No, I don't.
That's not
I don't have to blindly believe and accept theoretics of people looking in the sky. Try again, Twit. What science do I deny?
It's empirical, and you deny astronomy, all of it. And
astronomy isn't science because it's just theoretics.
in your opinion, however,
well, it's just theoretics.
Shut up.
It can change tomorrow. It can change tomorrow, though, Jim.
You. However, in everyone else's opinion, it is a science. So if someone says you're a science, shut up. If someone says you are a science denier, by everybody's understanding of what is and isn't science, you are a science denier because you are denying an entire field of science. Now, because you don't consider it, shut up, Jeremy. Because you don't consider it to be a science, that's just you denying the science. That's not you getting out of denying the science. That is your denial of the science. So I will unmute you now. Sorry, Jeremy.
You're an idiot. So. Okay, so basically this dude, all he did was appeal to majority that a lot of people think that this is what science is, just like I guess a lot of people thought slavery was cool back in the day. You're really making us a sound intellectual postulation there. You're knocking out of the park. So simply, the fact is that it's nothing more. It's nothing more than
introducing slavery to
because he appealed to majority. Back in the day, people thought slavery was okay. Yeah, you said everybody thinks this is science. That's what you said.
Well,
you said since everybody thinks it's science, then you have to believe it or you're a science denier. Now here's the dude, you muted me, Jim, and then you don't even let me respond.
I'm gonna have to mute you
so
again.
So you mute me and then interrupt me, and then you're gonna mute me again.
I'm responding to what you've just said.
I'm still responding to when you muted me in monologue, though.
All right, keep going.
Okay, so the entire point that I've made the entire time that you're skating past is if it is theoretics inherently, then that means it is not scientific or nor empirical nor objective because it can change tomorrow. As soon as just like whenever they thought it was different until they found the galaxy rotational. See, dude, till they saw the galaxy rotational speeds in the 50s, they had to update the model. Okay, it's theoretics, bro.
We sit on the inside and it's every second and fall.
It's based entirely on observation, which is empirical. And I did not make an appeal to majority. What you described was an appeal to majority and also a straw man, because I didn't say it.
Yeah, you did.
I made an argument. Twit made the claim that you're a science denier.
Yeah, but she doesn't even have the competence to say anything, so I don't give a shit.
I'm still talking. As science is defined, you are a science denier. Now, you have your own, shut up, you have your own definition of science, but as I said, that is your process of science denial. We have to go with what the common understanding of the word science is. I'm not saying you have to accept that common understanding because it's a common understanding, but if we're going with the general common understanding of the word science, then by that definition, you are a science denier.
Well, the good thing that the world doesn't work by your little dumbass definition, son. So,
yes, it does.
Shut the fuck up. I'm responding now, Gamma. So, actually, I'm a pseudoscience denier. I do not stake belief in that masquerades claiming to be science void of empirical proof. So, the problem here is you're trying to say astronomy is okay to invoke as a science when it's literally you looking up at the sky and observing and then bam, that's it. Then you theorize based on the current model and its confinements and the equations within, and you find a theory that you think is applicable and acceptable within those predetermined confinements. And if you make a new discovery tomorrow, you got to change it. We're just making guesses about the sky. The people that actually specialize in this field admit that, and they're off by 10 to the 120th power when it comes to the occupation of the space itself. So inherently, it is not science. It is not empirical. It's theoretical. It cuts off at observable phenomena, then you theorize what happens. I don't have to believe fairy tales.
Nonsense. So
nuh-uh is about the level you work at.
You can theorize what happens, and you can test your theory by seeing if it happens. That's entirely empirical.
No.
So you are a science denier, even by your standards.
You're actually just an idiot. So.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you actually.
The science of the math.
How is seeing something not empirical? Make an argument for that. I'd love to hear it.
I said empirically prove something.
No science empirically proves things.
Well, that's what you have to claim because there's literally zero proof for your globe.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick?
Wait, Jim, do you agree you have to say that? Because there's literally zero proof for your globe model, right?
I say that because science doesn't prove things.
Okay, so then you would have to agree there's zero proof for the globe model then, right?
Well, proof.
There is a lot of evidence to support.
Okay, but there's not any proof of the globe, right?
Let me answer that question. Proof is subjective. I can present a body of evidence for something. Whether a person considers that to be proof of something is down to them. This is why we have a jury in a court. What one person considers to be proof is not the same as what another person.
Yeah, but consideration doesn't change the proof itself. So do I need to cite higher education that says you're a moron for saying proof is subjective, or would you like to just go ahead and retract it?
Proof is subjective. Do what you like.
Okay, so I guess I'll just cite all the higher education that you revere as your priesthood.
Go ahead. Let's see what.
Okay, I will. And okay, Jim, my question was simple. You skated past it. Do you agree that there's no actual proof for the globe Earth?
Again, that would depend on what.
No, it doesn't depend on anything. You said there's no such thing as proof, so you have to say yes.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. You said you can't. You said science doesn't empirically prove anything.
Yes, that is not.
Okay, so that means that you haven't empirically proved the globe, right?
Shut up.
Just answer the question.
Science doesn't prove things is not the same. Listen. Science doesn't prove things is not the same as there's no such thing as proof. They're two completely different statements. I did not say there's no such thing as proof. Again,
is there such thing as proof then?
Subjectively, yes.
Okay, so that means it's not actual proof then, because we can have opposing interpretations, right? But only one of the interpretations can be true, right? They can't simultaneously be true.
If you're saying, can you access objective proof? No, you cannot.
So there's no objective proof the Earth's a globe then, right?
Well, you can't. No, there's no way to. There's no such thing as objective proof in our existence.
Okay, so then of course inherently there is an objective proof of the globe Earth, then, right?
There's no such thing as objective proof.
Okay, so isn't that convenient that whenever you can't have any proof for the globe Earth, now we just don't have any at all ever?
Well, how can you access objective proof? Explain to me how you do that.
Well, we know that if we have distilled water and we manipulate the variables of pressure and temperature, it's going to boil at the same temperature every single time.
And you know that subjectively?
No. We can empirically demonstrate this.
It's by subjective experience.
Wow, so you're saying the water doesn't boil at the same temperature every time? What's subjective about the water boiling?
No, I never said that.
What's subjective about the water boiling?
I'm saying your experience of it. Everybody's
But what's subjective about the boiling water itself, though?
Your experience of it.
But the boiling water has nothing to do with your experience, right? Like if you didn't experience it, it still would have started boiling, right? Did you have to be there and watch? Jim, did you have to be there and watch it for it to start boiling? Of course not, right? So your experience is independent of the water boiling itself. It objectively just happens, and we can empirically demonstrate it happens at the same temperature.
Do you have to experience either it or an account of it in order to make a comment on it?
Sure, but your comment on it is again not the same thing as it happening.
And your experience.
You think you won? That shows how dumb you are.
Your experience is subjective. I suspect that you think I've won. That's why you said that.
You live in a... No. How have you won? You've said nothing but stupid shit. I said if you don't experience the water boiling, then the water still boils the same temperature. Now, you can validate this with replication.
However, your experience of it is subjective. But
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what objectively happens. You're conflating the two.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm pointing out to you that you have no objective experiences. You only ever have subjective.
Oh, well, good thing I'm just talking about objective truth. Experience is inherently subjective. That's what the fucking word means.
Right. And you can't...
Right, what? So, can you get back to the point? Does the water objectively boil at a certain temperature?
Your entire experience of reality is subjective. You have
So we're the crazy people because we don't believe in things like nothing can ever be proven. Everything's about how you interpret it. Reality is fluid based on experience and interpretation. There is no truth. There is no objectivity. There is no empirical means of proving things. Everything is theoretical. Therefore, since everything is theoretical, that means you have to accept all theoretical bullshit postulations on their face. No, it's not. You just don't have the balls to say it.
I didn't say any of that.
I know you don't have the balls to say it.
All right, let me say this. None of that is true. It's all
okay. Specify like an adult for once.
Well, what? I've got to go through your massive list of.
You don't even know what I said, then I guess.
I definitely cannot remember everything you said.
Okay, you mean to say it like I'm talking to 5-year-olds?
About 8 things very quickly. I definitely can't remember them all.
Just because
it would have been better if you just told the one lie instead of 8 in a row.
Oh, Jim, why do I have to talk so fast?
Jim,
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because I can't get a full coherent statement out in this room without being interrupted by 5 people.
Jim, can you point to a single person where the subjective threshold for proof isn't satisfied by water boiling?
You do the same thing everywhere you go.
I do what?
Blue Marble, do you think I care that you're a Gamma and you want to comment on me personally?
We can know that water boils to a certain degree.
My time, son.
All right, well then shut up, Gamma.
But everything we experience about the water boiling is subjective. There's no such thing as Witsit wanted me to produce as objective proof.
Is the experience the same as the water boiling itself? Yes or no?
If you accept the given evidence for the boiling temperature...
Shut up, bitch.
If you accept the given evidence for the boiling temperature of water as proof for the boiling temperature of water, which I do, then that is proof to me of the boiling temperature of water. But we cannot say it is objective proof. I don't think.
But does the objective truth exist outside of your interpretation? Yes or no? Okay, so that means if we're not there to experience it, if we're not there to subjectively interpret it, that doesn't actually change what happens. It objectively happens. What happens is an objective truth.
That is true.
That's my whole point. Now, there are objective truths, but it seems conveniently enough when it comes to the most important detail of our lives, the very nature of where we live, there's not one empirical proof of even the possibility of the core claims of the model. And I think it's very intellectually dishonest to pretend that it's just unfounded and stupidity to expect that.
That's just your opinion, though, isn't it? Because as we've said, as we've realized, I hope, proof is something that is actually a matter of opinion. Again, this is why we have a jury and a court, and they don't always agree.
No, we just talked about the proof isn't the matter of opinion. You can have an opinion on the proof, but that doesn't change the proof itself. You just now agreed to that, Jim. Now you're double speaking per usual.
But you agreed in your statement about it that you think I agreed to. You said we subjectively experience these things. And
I said no. I said that's different than what happens, though, right?
I agree there is an objective truth, an objective reality, but everyone only ever has a subjective experience of it.
Okay, but what is the objective reality and proof of
proof beyond a reasonable doubt? So they make way for that.
Right, and
that's like 10 minutes
true
ago.
Of the boiling temperature of water. I think it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it boils at 100 degrees centigrade. But
it's proven. It's proven.
It's proven to you and it's proven to me, but it's not proven.
No, it's proven until you offer a viable alternative option.
Where is the list of things that are proven?
In order to, you're gonna have to offer an additional postulation or option to challenge whether or not it is a truth, Jim.
Well, we can simply experimentally.
Yo, can I jump in? I've been waiting 5 minutes. I'm next after Jim.
I've just said it does happen, and I've said it's proven to me, and it's proven to you. But it's not, you can't say it's objective proof. And if you can, show me the list of things that are objectively proven.
So you think that objectivity is dependent upon the interpretation of the viewer?
Of course not.
Independent of
I'm saying you can. everyone only ever has a subjective experience, don't they? Of a
yeah, but I already said that, Jim. I already said that, though.
Can I jump in, guys? You guys are having two separate.
No, I've been waiting for 5 minutes to jump in, bro.
Hold up. You're talking about subjective experiences, but that stemmed out of having objective evidence, and from that formulating subjective, whether it meets the subjective proof.
What's objective evidence? Who said that? Nobody mentioned objective evidence.
Well, you're agreeing that the water is actually on the stove or whatever, on the burner, and it's actually heating up and it's actually boiling, objectively, right?
No, not objective. How can I say objectively? How can I say that? How do I know?
No, you can't, because you claim a model that can't be proven, so you have to stick in little fairy tale subjective.
How do I know I'm not hallucinating the water boiling on the stove?
I don't know. How do you know that you can't prove where you live?
In the court of law, when you introduce evidence, the evidence is objectively, it's presented as objective evidence, and then the jurors go out and they make a subjective decision.
No, it's not.
The body of evidence, whether that meets their threshold for proof.
All right, can we move on from the philosophical bullshit, though? Is this all you want to do? Is debate philosophy?
Witsit, real quick. Let me hear these guys say what exactly about.
If you're going to demand objective proof for things, we have to. Sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm waiting patiently.
Sorry.
It's all right. What about astronomy exactly would you say is science? Because they're looking at the sky, or they're writing it down, or like which part of it?
All of it.
So they look at the sky and then write shit down, and they make predictions.
You make a systematic series of observations. You can make predictions based on those observations, and you can test those predictions based on more observations.
Hey, I got a question for you. So if Mitsukaku drops acid and he goes into his desk, into his office, sits at his desk dropping acid, he starts tripping. He's like, "Whoa! It just hit me. It's not just space and time. It's also all of our emotional inputs that is actually the." So if he then comes out and he writes an equation to represent that, is that science?
No, we say
hold on a second.
there's a planet out there called Neptune.
What's that got to do with the price of cheese, really?
Because that's what astronomy does. It's theoretical physics, astrophysics, same thing.
Astronomy is about hallucinogenic drugs. That's what you think.
Said they test.
I was just making a point. Okay, so are you saying if they didn't take the acid, then that makes it a scientific theory?
Tested it by following planets that they didn't know existed.
Try not to.
If Einstein had said what I just said, y'all would think it's profound. Y'all should think about that.
Jeremy, they tested it.
Oh, Einstein said that the flying disc in space thing that the Flat Earth Society says. You know that Einstein's the one that proposed that, right?
They tested it by finding a new planet.
You know Einstein proposed that, though, right?
Jeremy get in, please.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on past the holes in your priesthood.
You said they observe it. Then they make a prediction, and then they observe it some more. So that's all it takes to do science?
Yes.
They predicted I didn't say that, didn't I? You changed what I said. You missed out the most important part.
Well, you said they test it.
Right.
But all they're doing is observing again. They're not actually testing anything. They're just still observing.
Well, if your prediction is this heavenly body will be in this position at this moment in time, and it is, then you've tested your prediction, right?
By observing.
Unless it was already going to be at that place anyway.
Why not? Why is observing so terrible?
You test everything by observing. You test it by doing something, and then you observe the results.
Yeah, but you don't test it by observing. That's not how you test it. You observe the results of the test. You observe the results of the test. This dude said you test everything by observing. So what you do is you test it and then you observe the results. The testing isn't the observing, dude.
And sometimes the test has no other steps but the observation.
You mean only whenever we're trying to prove the Earth's a spinning cartoon ball brought to us by Jesuit priests?
That's what astronomy can do, is observe. That's how we found Neptune.
You people are actually arguing a religious...
Let me talk. Good Lord, you've been spouting for an hour. That's how we found Neptune. We observed orbits. We noticed that, there should be something right about there. And then they observed it. And sure fucking enough, there was a planet there.
Oh, shit.
That's a prediction.
Or do you just say whatever you read in an article and believe it immediately? Have you ever actually researched it? I'm talking to that guy. Please stop dogpiling. Have you ever actually researched that claim you just made?
Have you?
Yes.
Yes.
It is the truth of the matter. Whether
Okay,
you
so
like it or
let's
not.
just expose you then. Did you know that Neptune was actually identified and marked down hundreds and hundreds of years earlier by Galileo? Did you know that right where Neptune is and its progression in the sky was already known about and documented by Galileo?
Orbit was not known.
Oh, so you couldn't have known where it was at and tracked in the sky, and it keeps on doing the same thing? Are you saying Neptune doesn't keep doing the same thing?
They had not identified its path.
No, they did though. Galileo did it.
It was in their charts because they saw
Galileo
it. They just didn't know it.
Galileo did not have telescopes enough.
Please, hang on. Brenda, hang on. Let Slacker finish. Slacker, try and be a bit louder if you can, mate.
Yeah.
Have another go.
Yeah, they didn't know its orbit. They didn't know it was a planet. They had just marked another object in their charts. It was unidentified. It was not identified as a planet.
They had They predicted its orbit, and they discovered it.
Let me add one more thing. Other astronomers also saw it, didn't know what it was, didn't identify it as a planet, but none of them identified it as the same thing.
Okay, so then you do agree you misspoke when you said that this was discovered using gravity, right?
It was discovered that there was a planet. That was what was discovered.
Oh, okay. Dude, planets, the etymology means wandering stars. So that just means that they don't move with...
We're not talking about the origin of the word, Witsit. We're talking about a planet with an orbit as we currently understand it. Probably.
Okay, so I was making a point. So the etymology means wandering star. The relevance is that just means that they don't move with the rest of the stars. Galileo had not noticed that yet. He just marked it as another one of the stars. He had not watched it long enough to know that it had a different movement. But he did indeed mark it down. It wasn't discovered using gravity, which is dumb as fuck and literally just patently false. Okay? And then they took the reoccurring pattern and mapped it out as a planet because it wasn't this. So you're saying Neptune doesn't have a pattern?
No, they didn't know it.
Okay, but did they already know where it was in the sky relative to the other lights in the sky?
No.
Okay, so then it wasn't already discovered. Is that your claim?
Let me finish, and you'll know what my claim is.
You're making contradictory claims.
It had been marked in these charts as a star. That does not give it a pattern. That does not give it the same path as a planet. That does not tell you where it is at the current or any arbitrary point in time relative to the other stars. So no, relative to the other stars, they did not know where it was at the time that they said it should be here.
Okay, but this is what actually happened. So whenever they applied the math that they had to that light in the sky as if it were a planet,
they didn't have any math.
No, they didn't have any math. And how'd they predict it then?
Not by looking at it, by looking at
They didn't look at it. They looked at the orbits of Pluto and Uranus.
And they didn't use any math? You people don't ever know what you're talking about, ever.
About what you were talking about, Witsit, you would know they used the orbits of Uranus and Pluto to discover where it was.
They didn't have any pre-existing numbers on the path of Neptune. That's what I'm saying. If you want me to be overly specific, because you can't follow a conversation.
Why the fuck do I keep getting muted?
Because you talk consistently and you're extremely rude.
No, Brenda, I came in here being nice like every time I've ever come in here.
It's nice to you, but you're always
No, you
mean.
keep interrupting people. You complain about being interrupted, but you interrupt more than anybody else.
No, only this is the reason that it's interpreted that I'm interrupting is because I let the one person finish and they're addressing me specifically and telling me why I'm wrong. So then I go to respond and someone else asks a new question, and if I keep talking, then I'm the one interrupting somehow. And it happens every time. Every single time.
You don't let them finish. That's the problem.
No, I let them finish, but then someone else starts. See how you just talked to me, but someone else is talking to me at the same time? It's happening right now.
You just didn't let me finish. See? This is exactly what's happening. You don't let people finish, and you jump in with insults. That's why you keep getting muted.
Actually, I'm getting muted anytime that you don't want to allow me to actually hold my own in the argument. You want someone to get their full straw man out. That's why I get muted.
We're just trying to make the conversation happen.
Then how about you check your own side then, Jim?
But I will do that. I will do that. It's a long list. I don't always get to them in time. It's hard for me to see who it is a lot of the time.
Okay. So yeah,
You seem to get
this is what I'm trying to understand.
I said 10
Kosho.
words earlier, and you muted me, Jim.
Yeah, of course, dude. That's what they do. So, Kosho, here's my question. Kosho, are you going to tell the room that
your server muted me?
It's because
your server muted me. I said like 10 words.
I've been here all day, Ricky. I haven't muted you.
I just got muted when I said 10 words earlier, Jim.
All right. Well, I'll mute you now to make up for it. How about that?
Okay, Kosho. So do you want to tell the rest of the room they're wrong when they said that they didn't use any math at all?
Yeah, what he just said to you. That's the problem.
He said they didn't use math. That's what he said.
Stop talking, Witsit. Stop talking, Witsit. Stop fucking talking.
Shut up,
I told you something, and you must talk through him too, man, because I heard what he said both times.
They said they didn't use math.
Shut the fuck up, Witsit. He didn't say that. He said they didn't use math. He said they didn't use math on the observations of Neptune, because when Galileo had seen Neptune, he marked that it was a light, because he marked down all the lights he saw. But the orbit of Neptune is like 100 years. So he did not make any observations of any of its movement.
I know, Coach. I didn't say that.
The mathematics that made the predictions of Neptune were of the orbit of Uranus.
Okay, I didn't say that though. All you people do is make shit up every time. I didn't fucking say that though. I said that they looked at the light in the sky that was already demarcated by Galileo, which you dumbass people argued at first. Then they looked at it relative to other lights in the sky, not assuming it's just a star, but that it would be a planet, which means wandering star. Then they started to see the relationship between the two, and then they mathematically deduced what they thought it would be, and someone jumped in and said, they didn't use any math. You don't know what you're talking about.
But they were referring to in Galileo's time, Witsit.
No, we were talking about the very I said, because when he asked that, I said, well, then how did they predict it? And he said, they just looked at another planet. That was his answer. Exactly. So this room should tell him he's objectively wrong. But no, we're going to skate past it and act like I'm lying about what was said.
But they did deduce it from the observation of the other planets.
Did they use math? Did they use math?
Yeah, they realized.
Okay, well, that was my point, was that they used the other planet and then they mathematically deduced it. That's what I said. And he argued it.
But he was arguing in Galileo's time.
But no, because he said they didn't use math.
Jim, he said they didn't as a planet and did not record it.
He said they didn't use math, and I said, well, then how did they predict it then? And he said, but just by looking at the other planet. He wasn't talking about Galileo, Jim. So stop saying that.
The slacker was talking about Galileo. You weren't listening.
Okay, so whenever I said, well, then how did they predict it? And you said just by looking at the other planets, you were talking about Galileo when you said that?
No.
Well, then, exactly. Oh, it's so difficult. It's the same time. It's the same time.
Stop talking and let him fucking answer it for the next time.
But that question is about how they predict.
You people are just liars, dude.
Which is a question about
as a planet. We're hundreds of years apart.
This is actually recorded, and you people still just lie.
It's so weird. Every time he'd understand better, wouldn't he?
No. I'm saying you people are lying.
No, you just misunderstood.
So I'll record it again, then, Jim. Just like always. Every time I go record it and then I post it in here, you don't have shit to say then, do you, Jim?
It's just a mistake. I'm not saying that anything that you've said wasn't said. It was just misunderstood.
No, it was missaid. It was missaid.
All right.
It wasn't missaid.
Okay. No, okay, then I'll recap the conversation again. I said, no, they didn't. I said that they had to look at the other, dude, I said they had to look at the other lights, right? The other bodies that they consider planets. And then they had to use math to deduce it, right? That's objective. And he said, no, they didn't have to use math. And I said, well, then how did they even predict it then? And then he said, they looked at the other planets. And now you're trying to say he was talking about Galileo, but that's not what you
But wait a second.
Can we the initial statement, since apparently you
can we agree to the fact that Witsit just admitted that it was deduced?
Exactly. It was just deduced using maths.
He just admitted that it was deduced. Witsit just said that.
And he's trying to, a planet.
He's trying to connect the initial times that Neptune was observed with how they figured out that it was a planet, and that's not what happened.
I'm pretty sure Witsit is just trying to conflate being able to predict using math all orbits, and that we should have been able to predict Neptune's orbit without knowing about it using math. When reality,
now can I respond?
Don't straw man me.
5 people straw man me.
How about
Yeah,
I
let
finish
Slacker.
speaking?
Let Slacker.
This
We
is so
used the
exhausting, dude.
orbit
Y'all just lie.
of
Y'all just
Uranus,
debate someone
and
that's not
noticed that
debating.
it
I guess I
wasn't
don't know.
where it was supposed to be. So they used
You're
that
just making shit up, bruh.
predict a planet further than Uranus, and lo and behold, they found it using the erratic orbit of where Uranus should have been using predictions, and that it wasn't there.
Okay, so do you think that you just beat what I was arguing, or are you just making shit up? Oh, yeah, it was the latter. Just like you have to mute me and then let 4 people strawman me, saying that now that I said that it was mathematically reduced, I'm saying somehow there's validity in the gravitation. See what happened? Oh, Kosho, it's crazy. None of the mods have shit to say every single time I get interrupted. Literally, never have shit to say.
Spend your time
So
complaining
I said
instead of
mathematically
stating your
deduce
argument.
it.
I'm gonna have to mute you when no one's interrupting you.
Please try and resist the temptation to just make noise.
To act like a fucking
Why? I'm
5-year-old.
making just as much.
No, you're a
fucking
dumbass,
purpose and
dude. You're a
utility as
dumbass.
you are.
Well, all right.
You're a dumbass, dude. All you do is come in and start babbling incoherent nonsense, and then you.
That's
okay,
enough, dude.
so
Just get back
when
to the
I said I was
conversation.
explaining objectively how they do
Just
it.
act like
right?
a fucking
They
human being for once, rather than some superior twat.
Okay, so I was describing how, little Gamma, you just couldn't resist, could you? Because you're a Gamma. So I was gonna ignore him, but Gamma Panda had a top on top of it.
Better not start on the things that you can't resist, though, eh? Because that would be unfair.
Because y'all just keep on taking shots. Y'all just can't resist. Y'all done it 10 times. Have you got it out of your system yet? Have you got it out of your system yet?
Calm down, Witsit.
Oh, I'm the one that needs to calm down.
Yeah, you can't even
so
act like an adult, dude.
Yeah, I'd love to even see a 1v1.
Please don't keep muting him. It is very frustrating, and it's only going to make it worse for him.
He literally can't act like an adult, Jim.
Why don't we just
have
the whole channel?
All
with
these
nobody
gamers
to
are
talk
jumping in
against
and
them,
y'all are
eh?
muting
Why can't we just
adult either? They just come in screeching and
We
whining.
get it. You're a Gamma too. Okay, we can tell with your voice. You're very metrosexual. Okay, so here's the deal. Whenever you're having a conversation, if I'm so stupid, you wouldn't have to censor me by screaming over me, calling me names, going,
no, you just whine the whole
and then
time.
muting me.
Like Kosho said, you're not talking about anything exciting. You are just
you
whining.
just want to get away with all the shots and me not call you out for it. That's not how it works, little bitch.
Yeah, there's more whining.
Just your snowflake behavior.
Okay, so now let's get back to the discussion that you people are way too incompetent to even understand. Okay, let's get back to the conversation where you people are way too incompetent to even.
Stop!
All right, let's just get back to the conversation where you people are way too incompetent to even understand. So what I said was they mathematically did.
Stop! Please, everyone, just take a breath. Count to 10. Try and take it down a level. It will be easier for us. Just relax. Plenty of time. Everyone's going to get their say. I'm going to moderate hard. Please,
we'll see.
Let the conversation happen.
So the point is that I was just explaining how they do it so that we could critiquing and contending their claimed process of deducing Neptune's orbit using gravity and how it somehow actually validates the claimed cause.
Let him finish. Guys, he's only been going about 20 seconds. Go ahead, Whit.
So I'm just explaining so that we all understand, because many people in here don't seem to really know the way it's actually done, the process, because I am actually challenging the validity or efficiency of the process itself. And they're looking at the 2 different planets, or really they look at another planet using math. They try to deduce where they think that Neptune should be. It was not that they didn't know where Neptune was, and then they used the math, just assume it, because the math has to prove the cause is real, which it doesn't. Those are separate things. And then they get the math, and they're like, oh, Neptune's going to pop out right here. And then it just popped out of nowhere for the first time ever seen by humans, right where they predicted. It's literally nothing like that. It was already discovered. They correlated it to the other body in the sky using mathematical deduction. They predicted where it should be. That's objectively what happened. That doesn't substantiate your cause claim of the agent of rotation.
Can you put a book in on that? So, yeah, it's clearly Slacker had said it. Everybody had said it. It doesn't. The stars are stationary objects very far away to Galileo, to everybody else. They're not thinking that they're planets. There's no reason whenever they notice that the
I know
Uranus
that, man.
has. But don't talk with it. Don't speak.
Kosho, I know that.
Mute your fucking self like an adult. That way, I don't have to.
But you keep teaching me things that I don't understand.
Well, here we go. Let's all part
This is
again. Yeah,
bullshit.
let's go. It's off again,
This
isn't
is
it?
fucking
Just
bullshit, Jim. This is the
we
fifth
thought it
time
was.
Kosho's done it. The fifth fucking time.
You just got done doing your whole monologue. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, you talk right fast and make up what I said, Kosho. Go ahead.
Shut the fuck up.
Responding to you. Just let
No,
him
he's not.
respond.
No, he's not. Watch. Go ahead.
Well, let him not respond to you then. Maybe he wants
For the
to
fifth
respond.
time, yeah. Go ahead, Kosho.
Well, maybe he wants to respond to something else. Just shut up.
No,
let
he
him
wants
do
to
it.
straw man it.
I'm
Go ahead.
responding
I don't
right
care.
to you.
Just
And
shut
if
up.
Jem can ask me not to mute you, I'm muting you right now.
And then do it.
For fuck's sake. Yeah, where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, right.
You're about to
So
straw
whenever
man
they're
me.
looking at the stars,
fuck's
Witsit,
sake.
shut the fuck up, man. Shut the
This
fuck
is why
up,
you
man.
get muted.
Exactly, dude. You're the worst person in here. But regardless, stars, they're in fucking stationary positions from anyone's idea of what they are. So when they're cataloged, they have no idea that they're doing anything different. So 100 years later, when they look at the planet Uranus, which they know is a planet, because they know it's a whatever you want to call it, a wandering star. They know it's a planet. They know that its orbit is not behaving with Newton's gravity, and so they look for a candidate for another body. Now, yeah, it's noted that Neptune is already a star that's out there. So are all the other stars. There's no reason why Neptune would have had special consideration over any of the other stars that are out there either. So there's no reason to say just because it was cataloged as a star, that means that they didn't use the math to predict where it would be. They had no idea that it was a star, that it was a planet moving around the solar
But
system.
Kosho, this is why I was getting frustrated and interrupting you, is because I already said all that. You're saying it like I'm arguing something different than that, and I literally my argument is every single thing you just said, which means you're implicitly straw manning me. I already said that he didn't think it was a planet, that he just thought it was a star, and that the word planet actually means wandering star. So then we fast forward to already having it cataloged in the sky, and now we're determining, oh, we think this is a planet, not just a star, because it doesn't move with the rest of the stars fixed in their position. So now what we're going to do is we're going to correlate its relationship with another known planet.
The same thing again?
Oh
That's
my
wrong.
God.
That's wrong. That's not what I said, and it's not correct. What you just said is not correct. They didn't catalog it as a planet because it wasn't moving with the other planets. They cataloged it as a planet because they looked for the candidate that was causing the incorrect measurements of Uranus.
Yeah, I know.
They didn't see it moving as a planet, and then it's cataloged as a planet.
I didn't say they did.
They predicted it with the
I didn't say
movement
they
of
did.
Uranus.
I didn't say they did, though.
Yeah, that is precisely what you just said.
No, I didn't. I said that they didn't try to interpret it as a planet instead of a star. That's what I said.
You said because it was moving differently than the other stars.
I did not say
what
that.
You just said.
No, I said, yeah, because wait, are you saying planets don't move differently? I didn't say because of it. I said to explain a different motion than the fixed positions of the stars. That's word for word what I said.
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm saying. You're saying that's incorrect.
No,
that's not why they
are you
noted it
saying
as a
are
planet.
you saying that the equation they applied to Neptune doesn't explain a motion that's different than the fixed position of the stars? Is that what you're saying?
Neptune. They applied an equation to Uranus.
Okay. And then what they get from it?
They noticed that it was off.
Okay. And then what they do?
Off, so they looked for a body that was in that region.
Okay.
Which and let me point this out is not.
But the body was known to already be in the region, though, Kosho.
Astronomers had noticed Uranus or Neptune.
Do you people really think this proves that space and time been? I just want to know.
It validates.
You're missing this
one. Imagine thinking that post-diction validates your claim.
You, man.
So was three other people, Kosho.
A slacker, yeah, but he's quiet. He was the one talking first.
Let me make this one thing that I think you're missing. When they identified Neptune as a planet based off the orbit of Uranus, they did not find it in the place that it had been previously cataloged thinking it was a star. It was in a very different place in the sky because
which is why they knew it had a different motion.
No one had noticed that motion before. It was never recorded because it was cataloged as a star.
Okay, I know. I said that.
You're not getting that.
I said that 20 minutes ago.
It does seem like, I mean, it just
contradict that. I don't know.
No, I didn't. I said that they knew it wasn't the same as the fixed position of the other stars because it was in a different position. They then used another body. They correlated the relationship between the two using math, and they determined an alternative motion of orbit because it was a planet, not a star.
No,
that's what I said 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Right, but that's not true.
What happened. They didn't notice any different motion. They had it.
You just said it was somewhere way different, dude.
Well, let me just give you this out of Wikipedia.
No. How's it move in the sky if it doesn't go in motion? I want to know.
They didn't notice it.
No, but yes, you're just saying that. But Galileo had already marked that, and then they saw that there was something way away from that.
Why would they
No,
think
it
it's the
was
same object?
was Neptune. He just called it a star, dude.
Exactly.
Why would they have thought it was the same object?
Okay, Kosho, do you agree that when they made the observation...
No, I don't agree with anything you're saying. Them has something he wants to read on Wikipedia, though.
Yeah,
do you agree that...
Just a couple of lines,
fucking God, dude.
Just let me get this out. It says, the planet Neptune was mathematically predicted before it was directly observed. Wait for it, because there's more to come. With a prediction by Urban Le Verrier. Then later on, it talks about how the observation was made. Then it says... In retrospect, after it was discovered, it turned out it had been observed many times before, but not recognized. So,
okay, so we have to believe that, right? We have to just believe that they never, that even though it had been.
Hold on. You've been arguing for
I won't get to respond, guaranteed.
Hang on, I'm responding directly to what you've just said. I was doing that when you stopped me from.
You're reading Wikipedia. That's what you're doing.
And you stopped me from doing it to tell me I wasn't doing it. So
you're reading Wikipedia.
Well, you have been arguing for what the mainstream historical account of this is.
No, I haven't.
And I am reading Wikipedia, yes. If you have another source which describes this differently, let's see it.
I have a source that corroborates.
Brenda, shut up!
I have a source that corroborates what Gem Panda just said.
Oh my God, Brenda, you're such a good value to the conversation. You're such a good asset.
I did.
Okay, so see, Jim, I wonder why I was trying to hurry up and respond to you. I wonder why I would ever do that.
Well, we should let him respond, Brenda. Brenda, you come back after he's responded, because that would be a good response to his response, I am sure.
The entire efficacy of you postulating that this was prediction, thus substantiating or validating the claim that general relativity is accurate, what you're going to have to say is that you predicted it without ever seeing it. But then in the same article that you just read, it says, then they realized that they had been seeing it the whole time. So what we have to now do is believe that that one individual that applied the equation and predicted it, he just never saw it, never put it together, because if he's being dishonest, that means that he could have just reverse engineered the relationship using an equation. So literally your entire postulation is dependent upon the honesty of that central figure that you're postulating did this. So there you go. Good, cool story.
Well, for both of them, for all of them. So that allows you then to just propose some nefarious plot that this person was involved in.
You're having to claim major incompetence on his part because you said that it was already seen all over the place. So he's just the one incompetent dumbass that couldn't see it.
Is there any evidence that this person lied about this?
No, that's not how this works. What I'm saying is.
So there's no reason for us to work on the assumption that he lied about this.
No. So you're saying we should work on the assumption 100% he told the truth?
Well,
just one person.
Because we can now.
So what, do you do that with Alex Jones?
No, because
just one person.
So you're the arbiter of truth.
Let me respond. Because we can now observe Neptune, which tells us that whether he was telling the truth or not, it turns out it was the truth.
Yeah, but you're so lost. If he saw it before he came up with the equation, then he reverse engineered it based on the proportion between the two bodies. I always got to get interrupted. Always got to get interrupted. You're a bunch of clowns,
bro. You're arguing from ignorance again.
Look, dude. Y'all are afraid. Y'all are the dumb ones. Y'all act like I'm dumb. Y'all are clearly the dumb ones. That's why y'all can't let me talk.
It's bizarre. Saying,
yeah, let's let him interrupt me and keep going. Yeah, for
sure. There was not just one.
The same thing again, Witsit. Go ahead, Bizarre.
Oh yeah, there we go. There you go.
Just one person that was made some calculations and did some observations. That is complete misrepresentation of the situation. There were several astronomers noticed that was something wrong. The problem was handed over to some mathematicians who did some work, and there was not just one person who did this. There was several teams of people doing this, and it was just that history records the first person to be successful. But it was validated and backed up by several people in the very near future from that initial discovery. So astronomers looked to where the mathematicians had made some calculations they thought it should be, and they weren't particularly accurate, as it turned out, and it took quite a bit of searching.
But y'all would have been arguing it then.
So there is no reason to argue there's a lack of validity, because it was one person who did everything and retro-engineered anything.
Didn't say that.
It was simultaneously. Yes, but I'm trying to get the point across that you misrepresent the story.
But watch, you don't get to respond yet?
There was not one person.
You said that 5 times.
If you keep interrupting, I'm going to have to just start again. I'm just going to have to keep starting again.
That's what he wants to do. He wants to just keep on talking.
I'm just going to have to keep starting again, aren't I?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I think we got the point, mate. Please, just let him respond. Be reasonable.
Okay, so, yeah, the thing is, are you saying that all of these astronomers never observed the light that is Neptune in the sky before this? Seems like some pretty incompetent stargazers, huh?
And because you actually didn't listen to him at all. Okay, the orbit of Neptune is 165 fucking years. Okay, so when Jem was reading and said,
"Don't give a shit,"
don't talk with it. Don't talk. I'm not gonna put up with it. Jem said not to mute you, but if you fuck
badass.
over me again, I'm gonna fucking mute you. I'm not gonna start over every time you interrupt me. Okay? It's 165 years is the orbit of Neptune. Okay, so when Jem read from Wikipedia before, he said in retrospect, they can tell that the thing that all these different people saw was Neptune. That's because when all these different people saw this object, there's no fucking way for them to know it's the same object. There's no way at all. It's a 165-year orbit, meaning that after all this is done, you can look back at the record and say, okay, it's moved from here to here to here to here, and you can look at the record and say that it's that same object. There's no way back then for them to have known that.
Can I ask Witsit a question?
No. I was muted. You don't get to ask me a question. Now I get to respond. That's all you ever want to do, Brenda, is not let me respond. So,
all right. Definitely next, Brenda. Go ahead, Witsit.
So, you're just saying a story that you've regurgitated. And the point here is that if it was already seen in the sky, now, not as a planet, which you people have strawman 12 times, even after I've clarified, he just thought it was a star. But then you fast forward, it was already written down, okay? And now we fast forward to now. Now you're saying, really, it is attributed to one guy. This other guy tried to say that it was a whole bunch of teams of astronomers that all got the exact same shit, which literally didn't happen, but they tried to verify it after the fact. So anyway, then you would have to say all of these astronomers were just, unbeknownst to the fact that Neptune, where it was originally noted to be, had moved because they were super incompetent and didn't look at the most prominent astronomer in history, Galileo's writings. And then they didn't know that there was a star where there normally wasn't one. They didn't put those two pieces together, and that they're all being 100% honest, because we have to trust anything that anyone ever says throughout history. We can never question the propped up prominent people because they had to be honest or they would have been killed, I guess. And then he says that he actually predicted that movement, and then they discovered it, even though it had already been discovered. It was already in a different location of the sky, and if someone was competent enough to compare the two, they could notice there was a discrepancy and that they would have to mathematically figure out a solution.
Quick response, Witsit. Noticing that a star is missing from Galileo's charts does not tell you where it is now.
Yeah, but you can look and see where the stars that aren't in place is. There's not a ton of them. There's only a few that aren't fixed.
Hey, Witsit.
No. Respond to that. There's only a few stars that aren't fixed, so it's easy to find the one that is moving outside of the fixed pattern.
Not if it's
there are plenty of other objects that move throughout the sky besides the planets, especially once you get even a reasonably sized telescope involved. There are tons of meteors and other asteroids out there that could have been misidentified as stars and just be missing.
Okay, so you are saying you're also claiming major incompetence on their behalf.
No, just because one star is missing from one chart does not give you any significant material to work on for discovering a planet.
Well, no, when you correlate that to the fact that one of the lights is moving contrary to the fixed pattern, then you know it's just one of the few that do that.
They didn't know.
But you're just telling me what you think they knew. So do you agree that if they did know, that it wouldn't have been a prediction?
Based off those charts, there was no way for them to get movement.
Hey, do you agree that if they did notice that that was moving not in a fixed pattern with the rest of the sky, thus it had to be a planet, that they could have figured it out? Do you agree or disagree?
Yes, if they had evidence that they didn't have, they could have figured out something that they didn't
No, it's not evidence that they didn't have. They technically did have the evidence. They just didn't know how to interpret it according to you because they were incompetent, because they had the original position hundreds of years prior. Then they could compare that to the current position. Because if it's not... Listen, now that the star is gone, you're saying, well, you wouldn't be able to notice because it's just so many. But no, only a handful of them move without a fixed pattern. You'd be able to find that one and isolate it very easily.
Try responding to what I actually said. A missing star does not give you motion. It gives you a missing star.
I didn't say it did give you motion. Nice straw man like a 5-year-old. So once again, if it wasn't in the original... Answer my question, slacker. If it wasn't in the original position from a couple hundred years... If it wasn't in the same position as it was marked... If it wasn't in the original position as was demarcated by Galileo hundreds of years before that, and then you could compare that to the sky's current recording, and you could see that there were a couple lights that didn't move in a fixed pattern like all the other stars, you would know, well, this is a planet. There's only a few that do that, so they could have easily noticed one with a movement that was anomalous to the fixed pattern of the rest of the sky. They could then bring in the information of Galileo marking out the points and realizing that there was a star missing, and then they could connect the two. If they did that, they would easily be able to reverse engineer based on the orbits of the other planets. And then they made a new equation to account for it, and that's what actually happened.
Witsit. They had no way to connect these two wildly distant observations, because just having a missing star in this one observation and just having another star in this other observation do not give you any information that they are the same object or that there is motion involved.
That wasn't my argument, slacker. How did I say you know the difference?
I have no idea what your argument is.
So you don't even listen.
I try to respond.
Slacker, the reason that they know the difference. Slacker,
and then you
listen.
Say that what you said.
Zach, you're not responding to what I said, slacker, my man, dude. I said that the star is no longer there where Galileo placed it. Now they see another star. Now you're saying that I'm saying just that alone you get to figure it out, and I didn't say that. What I said was, now that it's in a different position, you can compare the way that that light that you're observing is moving relative to all the rest of the stars. They are but a handful of the lights in the sky that do not move in a fixed pattern with all the other ones. You can then correlate that with the information that there was a star that was missing, that is no longer there, and be like, oh, there seems to be another one of these planets when there's only a few of them. Then you can see where it originally was relative to the rest of the stars. I'm almost done. Then you can see where it originally was relative to the rest of the stars. Then you can see where it currently is and where it had moved in recent history relative to the rest of the stars. You can map out the relationship relative to the other planets, and then you can come up with an equation to explain it, and that's what happened.
Hey, Witsit.
Okay,
let's let her respond.
So you are saying that by having a star in this observation and a missing star in this other observation, that they should tell it's the same thing, right?
You just said it again? You just said it again.
You just said you didn't say that, and then you went and said it again. I don't know
what was the detail that you're leaving out, slacker? Which detail are you leaving out, slacker?
Okay, the other thing that I'm...
No. Which detail that I said 3 times are you intentionally leaving out to straw man me? Which detail are you leaving out?
Well, there's the fact that it was a complete fairy tale that you just made up.
No, see, you can't. I know. Well, shocker, you're fucking way behind and never keep up with it at all. No, slacker. I'm gonna say it again. I said those 2 things and the fact that it doesn't move with the rest of the fixed pattern. Respond. It doesn't move with the rest of the fixed pattern. Respond.
They didn't record any movement, and your other misconception is that there's only a few things that move in the sky. That's completely false.
No, I said
there's hundreds of electrons out there that have been observed. They had no way of telling that these 2 observations were connected to the same object until they had mapped out the orbit later.
Okay, you're just making shit up. So what I said, and you keep on skipping past because you know it dismantles your argument, is they could see that this star or light in the sky doesn't move like the rest of the stars. They don't have a fixed pattern. And that's just objective. Stop fucking skipping over it. It's getting annoying. And so that means that there's only a handful of those that do. Oh my God.
It didn't
There's
observe
only a
that.
handful of stars that do that in the sky, dude. So
Yeah,
all
they
they had to
didn't
do
observe
was
that.
be like,
True.
look, this is a planet too.
There's only a handful visible by the naked eye, but they had telescopes. They could observe hundreds of things that moved
Like
in the
what?
sky.
And Neptune being one of the most distant.
No, like what?
Neptune being one of the most
All the
distant
asteroids.
planets.
Shut up,
its
slacker,
relative
like what?
motion against the background.
All the
is
Shut up,
it's
dude.
next to zero. You can't
Shut
tell
up.
with the most
Shut
distant
up.
planets that it's moving
slacker,
against
like-
the background.
oh my
Because
God.
compared to the others,
Slacker's
planets,
already said asteroids.
It's negligible.
You making stuff up there, Witsit?
Anyway, we must get Brenda in. We absolutely must. Go ahead, Brenda, please.
Okay. So I've been doing the Zen thing where I just let people flow, and if I get a chance to talk, I get a chance to talk.
We don't care.
So Witsit. Venus is the morning star, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't deify stars and give them names.
It's just a label. Jeez,
I don't care. What's your point?
All right, probably avoid the Socratic method, Brenda. It's going to just won't achieve.
Okay. Venus. There was a time when people didn't know that the morning star, Venus, was also the evening star. They thought they were two different entities. And
Cool story.
It's the same thing here. They didn't know it was the same entity. It was the same planet, Neptune. They didn't know.
It moved significantly less. Like there wasn't an observation where they're noticing that it's a wandering star whatsoever. It's a 165-year orbit. Dr. Ryers in the chat says it's a half a degree a year. There's objects, there's stars that move more than that.
So they couldn't have seen. No, there's not.
They didn't see it.
Wait, what stars move more than half a degree a year in the perceivable sky?
Bernard stars probably moves more than Neptune does.
Okay, so anyway, you're just making stuff up. We've already been to this before, and we know you have a little gift. That's all you got. So if if it moves half a degree a year, are you saying that they couldn't have observed the sky for a couple of years and saw that that light was moving different than the rest of the stars? Is that your claim?
They didn't.
So if it kept moving half a degree every single year,
they didn't make this observation though.
Okay, well that's what I said, bro. Y'all are gonna have to say that you just know that they didn't know about it. But the point is, objectively, if they did keep up with it and then correlate that to Galileo's writings and try and deduce it critically, they could have come up with an equation to explain how it has a different rotation than the fixed positions of the stars. That's just objective. So the only options here are one of two things. Either the true story is what we're told in the mainstream, which is always the case, right? They would never lie, in that they were being completely honest. They had no idea about it, and they used the bending and warping of space-time to predict the movement, or they saw that there was a different movement. That's the only two options.
Oh my God,
Right.
it's an hour already.
I got to agree with Witsit
Right,
here.
I
It
think-
shouldn't take this long to say this either.
All right, let me just point out that since we've devoted so much time to Witsit's fairy tale account of history, we should just cover briefly, if I can, the actual account of history.
I'm about to leave.
Why?
Because
Why?
you don't want to debate. You just want to read something off the internet, and you think it makes it right,
Hold on.
and that means you won an argument, and you can't respond to what I said.
Well, people can decide, can't they? They've heard your.
Wait, is it going to respond to what I said, Jim?
Yes, because
it says specifically either they're telling the truth.
Because we've heard many times from you about how these people lied and how they could have just known this and they just needed to see one planet and see another and reverse engineer it. We've heard that account over and over and over. So let's hear the actual account of what actually happened, not your made up on the fly bullshit. And if you object to that, fuck off. I don't care. So, irregularities in Uranus's orbit. In 1821, Alexis Bouvard had published astronomical tables of the orbit of Uranus, making predictions of future positions based on Newton's laws of motion and gravitation. Subsequent observations revealed substantial deviations from the table, leading Bouvard to hypothesize some perturbing body. These irregularities or residuals, both in the planet's ecliptic longitude and its distance from the Sun or radius vector, might be explained by a number of hypotheses. The effect of the Sun's gravity at such a great distance might differ from Newton's description, or discrepancies might simply be observational error, or perhaps Uranus was being pulled or perturbed by an as yet undiscovered planet. So I won't go on much further, but it goes on to describe all the different people who were involved in this. Mathematicians, astronomers, teams of astronomers from different places around the world, and how they went about doing this. So it just, your account of how this came about is just made up.
How can they say there's irregularities when they don't know the mass of the object? They have to use that pattern to get the mass in the first place.
Yeah. This is the question I want to know. So, what planet was it that showed them that the Newtonian application didn't work?
Uranus, as I've just read out.
Oh, so how did they find out that Uranus doesn't work with Newtonian application prior to observing Uranus?
What is Newtonian application?
They were observing Uranus the whole time.
They were
observing
Uranus.
Really respect this point.
So Uranus
really
itself
slow down
breaks.
and think about this.
So Uranus itself defies Newtonian physics, right?
No,
They thought it did.
No.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't defy Newtonian physics. It's Neptune that defies it.
Listen. It doesn't defy Newtonian physics because Neptune exists. If Neptune didn't exist, it would. That's why they hypothesized that Neptune did exist.
But so you're saying they used a mass attracting mass to make this prediction?
No, not saying that.
So what they used to make this a prediction? GR
Newton's
or
law.
Newtonian physics?
Newton's law of gravitation.
Okay, so they did use proportionate mass.
No, the law that describes the way that they move. It doesn't have to be mass attracting mass. It's just describing their behavior.
So it's just a description of the effect. It's not a claimed cause.
No, it's an equation.
Right, so it's just a description of the effect.
Yeah, what the effect is supposed to do, and it wasn't doing it. So they hypothesized that either it was wrong or there was a planet there. Lo and behold, there was a planet there.
Oh, yeah, even though they had already observed it. Okay, so then are you saying that this solidifies Newtonian physics when they made this discovery? Is that y'all's claim? That gravity
It certainly substantiated it
solidifies it?
amongst the other things they already did.
Okay, so y'all's claim for this entire thing being invoked is that it substantiates gravity as adequate for prediction, and it was using Newtonian physics. Then why is it?
The reason this was in the conversation was because we were talking about whether astronomy was or wasn't a science. It wasn't. We weren't trying to establish it as a proof or evidence of Newton's laws.
But someone said that it proved gravity, that they use gravity, and that's how it's science. That's what you said. That's how it's science.
It followed gravity.
No, what y'all said is that's how it's science. That's what y'all said. Was that you used gravity to make the prediction? That's why it's science. It's a piece of evidence.
It's not just theoretical science. That's the point.
But it
and
is.
Even if it was theoretical science, it's still science. But still, it's
okay.
Not
Well, then that
theoretical.
should be your argument, Coach. So that's the honest argument.
Was the argument, man?
No, the honest argument is that theoretical science is still science, not that it's not theoretical.
The argument was that there was a hypothesis that was tested in reality, and the hypothesis was confirmed.
Okay, so it confirmed Newtonian physics then, right?
Jem, what there was a series of detailed observations that showed an anomaly.
No, don't tell me to shut up.
The anomaly.
I've been asking the same question 3 times.
The anomaly led to the investigation and speculation via hypothesis. So it was the science of observational astronomy that kicked off the investigation into the anomaly of Uranus's orbit, wasn't it?
Why was an anomaly declared?
Why can't anyone answer my question? Why can't anyone answer my question, though?
Because I just did, man.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
The object did not move in accordance to Newtonian physics. Therefore, they found something that answered.
You're not saying anything.
Why?
No, my question is, it's very simple.
You didn't pick up on it. You just didn't.
Did it substantiate? Did it substantiate Newtonian physics prediction? Yes
It
or
validated
no?
it. We already knew about it. We already had it validated.
Okay, so do y'all agree? Do you agree though that that isn't even the current rhetoric anymore? Newtonian physics isn't considered to be right.
I don't agree with that whatsoever.
Oh, so you're saying Newtonian physics is agreed to be right?
Yeah, Einstein's
so you disagree with quantum mechanics?
Einstein's description of gravity.
Oh man, God! Can we hear Kosho, please, guys? Go ahead, Kosho.
If he's going to entertain the subject.
And that's the claim. I mean, like I said, he's saying that it's wrong now because he's going to probably still thought then that Einstein broke the wand in two, that Newton had whatever, but it didn't. The Einstein's gravity doesn't do anything to Newton's gravity that we already knew. It doesn't change anything about the facts.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
No, you could use.
No, what you're saying is that it does nothing.
You derive the same equation.
Okay, but it's different. Now, what you're trying to do is conflate what we know on the local scale, which is the effect. The effect of something falling didn't change on the local scale. But we're talking about the application of Newtonian physics outside of the local scale. We're talking about the solar system, not just on Earth.
Yeah, it still works in the solar
it
system.
is known within your paradigm that Newtonian physics doesn't work outside of the Earth local scale.
You're
wrong.
No, it can work. They say that it works just on the solar system level, right? But that it doesn't work beyond that. Okay, but the point is, they say that that's not what's going on in space, bro.
Yes, the solar system is space, idiot. Come on.
No, but they say it's not operating based off of Newtonian physics. It's operating based on Einsteinian physics.
Both are equal. Both are valid.
Both are not equal,
Yes,
dude. They make
are.
different claims. One claims that gravity is the effect of the warping, and one claims. Dude, I know they're the same equations. They have the same equations in it. No shit. One claims that gravity is the bending and warping of space-time. In fact, the effect of that. One claims a causal agent of mass attracting mass. They're inherently different. One claims a causal agent. One claims the effect.
Say something.
Okay. Regardless.
Regardless, they're still the same. Let's whistle past it. Regardless.
I'm just going to go on his first good one. Go ahead, Slacker.
Regardless of the fact that we know more now, the observations of Neptune and Uranus and the discovery of it being a planet provided additional evidence that supported Newtonian gravity. That's what happened.
Yeah, but that's useless information if we know Newtonian gravity is wrong, right?
It's not wrong. Again,
it's not useless.
See, dude, why can't I just talk to the one person, Zanuck?
Because you talk to everybody.
Shut the fuck up, Zanuck.
No, he's saying the same thing I said, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, well then one person at a time, man. Jeez, you want to ask me 5 questions and think if I don't answer all 5 people's questions anonymously, then I'm wrong or some shit.
Just try not to do that.
Zanuck after Slacker. Sorry, Zanuck. Just hang on a couple more minutes.
If you claim that it validated Newtonian physics, that's no good if they don't even recognize it anymore.
I didn't say validated, did I?
You said substantiated.
I didn't say substantiated. No,
okay, well, everyone else in the room did, so you disagree with them.
I didn't say that either. I said it provided additional evidence in support of Newtonian gravity.
But Newtonian physics is no longer even recognized, so that's useless, huh?
That's an incorrect statement.
Okay, then prove it. Cite it. Cite it.
I'm not arguing about the
I'll cite it. You mean to cite it?
Let's finish this point, man.
I'll cite it.
This was a scientific process, regardless of the fact that we know something more accurate now.
I'll cite it.
It was still a scientific process working as science works.
Newtonian physics has been debunked. Do you agree or disagree? Newtonian physics has been debunked. Do you agree or disagree?
It doesn't matter whether anybody agrees or disagrees. The facts are Newtonian physics has not been debunked. It is
okay. Well, I'll just prove you wrong then.
Shut up, because there are certain circumstances in which it is still valid, and we use it for that. And
but that's not how it works. It claims to be a natural.
Dude, it's not, and that's why Einsteinian physics builds upon Newtonian physics to explain those observations and actual phenomena.
Now what you don't understand is the reason that it doesn't work, dude, is because it only works
That's
on like a
actually a
local scale.
false claim
I'm
that it absolutely
talking right
doesn't
now,
work.
dude.
No,
I'm
you're
talking though.
making
I'm
false
talking though. I'm
allegations.
talking though.
So
I'm talking
Newtonian
though.
laws are said to be universal
So,
laws. So they're not.
Yeah, exactly. So Newtonian physics is only applicable on the local scale. That's why they had to get away with it, because for it to be a natural law, it works on all scales, but it doesn't apply to the quantum or cosmological scale. It's been done away with. They have disavowed Newtonian physics, and it's admitted within higher education. Dude, stop interrupting me, dude. Stop interrupting me. It's admitted within higher education that Newtonian physics is debunked.
Instead of just saying the exact same false things.
See what happened? Y'all don't have shit to say when they do that, though. It's so funny. Y'all are funny, dude.
That it's false. When you previously stated it's still applicable.
No, I just now said that it can't. It was disavowed as a natural law because it doesn't apply on all scales. This is known and accepted within your own religious paradigm, but you need to brush up on your textbooks, or should I say, your religious book.
You see, that's a bunch of false allegations.
Any of this argue about the exact terminology of the current state of Newtonian gravity. It was superseded by something else that provides almost identical answers within certain constraints.
Oh, what does superseded mean?
The whole point of this topic from the beginning was a demonstration of the scientific process using observational sciences, not the current state of Newtonian gravity that we've gotten on.
No,
now.
you postulate this as evidence that substantiated Newtonian physics or gravity, but that's not even true because it's now been debunked. So he couldn't have proven it, but you people are stupid. So what supersede means take the place of. Supersede means to take the place of.
That's fine.
Not to keep it around and then it still kind of works. It means to take the place of.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so that's what I said. So it superseded Newtonian physics.
Okay.
Shut up for a minute.
That doesn't change the fact that this observational process of science produced meaningful results in support of Newtonian gravity that also still support Einstein's theory of gravity. Doesn't change that either.
You don't seem to understand things, but it got superseded in 19...
It's you that did not understand it.
Yeah, it got superseded.
Going back to the point about astrophysics being pseudoscience or not. He's bringing it back to that point.
We use physics in the world and engineering.
Y'all just want to talk to each other, huh? You talk about an echo chamber.
Zanuck does need to make a point.
I can't talk with you. You're dominating.
I'm dominating when 5 people are talking to me the whole time, 5v1. What a cool story.
You are.
Because I don't just sit here and let people strawman me and then this one after another, because that would make me a bitch, and I'm not a bitch.
I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you, man.
All I hear is Witsit talking. That's all I do.
I know. Even with that many people against you, Witsit,
that's why I have to turn my mic up, though.
Witsit. No matter who's talking, how many freaking guys are jumping in, all I hear is Witsit.
Okay.
And I have you turned down too, by the way.
But Zanuck, whenever someone like talks and then lets me talk, I never interrupt them, man. Never.
You hardly. If they get 20 seconds out without you dying or making some comment, Witsit, it's a miracle. You constantly.
Well, fair enough. I do sometimes interrupt whenever I think someone's straw man.
You just got to be quiet. You just got to shut up. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Zanuck,
use them in proportion.
Are you done?
Anyway, make your point, Zanuck.
He doesn't have a point.
Is, I think everyone made the point. I don't need to really.
You don't even have a point.
The fact that I agree with them. There we go again. I agree with everybody that Einsteinian science, physics has not been replaced. Did not replace Newtonian mechanics and physics at all. They coexist.
Yes, it did.
In fact, those equations are still valid. They still work within the Einsteinian general relativity scheme. So you can't say that.
Wrong.
We still use Newtonian physics to design everything on the Earth and everything that we can see in our solar system. Why?
Wrong.
Because it's easier. Those equations would be much more cumbersome if we're designing airplanes to fly using Einsteinian field equations rather than Newtonian physics, which are much easier to work with.
You're right about that.
Hold on. And just as accurate.
Okay, you're
right
about.
Understand G within a couple of decimal places to get everything 99% correct.
Okay,
so
you're right about the fact that. Shut up.
So you interrupted.
You're right about
7 times. 7 times.
No, I didn't.
And then tell me to shut up.
I didn't interrupt. I just said, yeah, you're right about that. That's not interrupting.
And then you tell me to shut up to boot.
I got one word
After
in, though,
all
Zanuck.
that, I can't even say my piece without you interrupting me, and you tell me to shut up.
Yeah, because as soon as I started to respond, you started interrupting me.
Come on.
Okay, watch. Now you're crying about it, but you will interrupt me, guaranteed. Okay, so yeah, you're right that whenever we build things or engineer things, right, that all we take into account is like quote unquote Newtonian physics. This is because we're just factoring in the agreed upon average of the effect of downward acceleration locally observed on Earth, 9.8 meters per second squared, agreed upon average of things, because typically things go down. It's just a generality. Now, this is utilizing something like weight, right? Now, weight, we all know the phenomena exists. If I have a scale and I put something on it, it weighs it. Now, what it's weighing exactly is the question. They say weight is mg, but really it's just pressure over a certain area that's being pushed onto that scale. It's all you're weighing. It's pressure mediation.
No,
the point alone is, that whenever you use these...
That's not correct.
No, he's gone wrong.
Let him finish. Make notes.
Why? Because if he makes 10 points in every 30 seconds of their time he gets, how do we get to the one that's wrong?
All right, try and wrap it up.
But Zanuck makes, I have to do this. So, and then the point is that if all you're factoring in is like the idea of weight, right, and then the number associated with that when something goes down, so that you can build something because you know that it's going to push down if it weighs more in the air, that has nothing to do with the claimed cause of gravity at all whatsoever. To conflate those is stupid. They know that we just use it for practical usability of a description of a generality, but again, Newtonian physics has been done away with.
All right, this is just waffle. I think the point's made. Go ahead, Bizarre or Zanuck, one of you, please.
You go, Zan.
Well, I just had. I mean, that's just nonsense, as everyone knows, and here's every single day with you. It's not pressure over an area. Weight is a force. It has a vector, magnitude, and direction. We all have gone over that.
Are you
times?
Are you saying pressure over area isn't a force?
No.
No, he's not saying that.
Pressure over an area is redundant.
Is pressure over a certain area, is that a force?
Force is pressure over an area. You have it backwards.
That's what I just said.
No, you didn't.
You said the other way around.
What'd I say?
You said it's a pressure over an area.
He says pressure over an area of force.
Several times.
Okay.
Yeah. So if F equals P over A, then P over A equals F.
Over area.
No, it's
yeah.
redundant.
So I said, is pressure over a certain area, is that a force? And he said no. He said no.
It's nonsensical.
No, okay, well that's subjective. So whenever it's a force, when there's pressure being, dude, a certain amount of pressure over a certain area is a force, right? It's the force being exerted. It's the force being exerted relative to the pressure mediation, bro.
No.
What's it? Describe. Define the pressure. What's it?
Yeah, the energy
over a surface area. So when you say it was the force over a unit area.
Please don't hold. Go ahead.
It's the force exerted over an area. Come on.
I said energy or force exerted over a certain area, Zanuck.
You said pressure over a certain area.
No, I didn't. He just said define pressure. Dude, Zanuck, he just asked me to define pressure, and I said energy or force over a certain area.
Go ahead. Start with the clean slate.
Go with the clean slate now that Zanuck's just been proven objectively wrong with just clean slate.
We heard you made the mistake.
Kocho said, what is pressure? And then you won't even let me define it.
Go ahead.
He asked me, what is pressure? I said, energy or force exerted over a certain area.
That's correct. That's different. Which is
I know it's correct.
We all thought it was weird when you said that pressure over a unit area was a force.
Yeah, it is.
Like, this is what you said.
My point is that trivial error, can he?
No,
right, even when he's wrong.
What? It's the same thing. If F equals P over A, then P over A.
I'm going to pick it to pieces until everybody's bored with the argument and doesn't want to live anymore.
See, if it's
F does not equal P over A. Where do you get that from? Your own definition didn't say that.
Oh, so what to say?
Where do you get that from?
What's it say then?
Because your own definition previous was not that.
What definition was that from? What definition was that? Because I said,
you should know it came out of that hole in your head.
I said pressure over area is a force.
Where are you getting that from?
You're an idiot.
That doesn't comply with what your previous definition of pressure was.
That was the first definition. I said pressure over an area is a force, and then Kocho said, "What's pressure?" I said energy or force exerted on a certain.
Absolutely wrong.
Why don't you understand? You got it wrong. You don't understand fact, Nick just put it in the chat. Perfect. What I was saying. You got basic algebra incorrect.
No, there's
If
two ways
force
to
equal, listen, if
it.
pressure
Coverage
equals
of an area
force
could
over
be
area,
like
hold on.
coverage of an area.
Let me just finish. Let me finish. Percentage. I can tell this to you. If pressure equals force over area, that does not equal force equals pressure over area. Okay? It just doesn't.
No. Okay, so you're saying that
I'm just
pressure over
No,
area
he's
isn't.
not saying. You are the one saying this. Get
Is
that
pressure
correct.
over area a force? Yes or no?
No.
Then you people are dumb-dumbs.
No, because you even said it wasn't.
No, the point is that if you have a certain amount of pressure pushed over a certain amount of area, that is a force that you can measure on a scale.
Yes, that's correct.
Witsit, that's redundant.
Yeah, but
no,
I
it's
feel
not
I
correct.
was
It's
making a point
redundant.
though. Yeah,
A
but all
pressure
the
over an
scale is
area.
actually
A pressure is already
measuring
describing a force over an area. It doesn't make sense with the way
okay,
you're
but
saying
all
it. So
this.
just
The point
drop
was though. What was my point though, Kosho?
Stupid.
The only
don't
reason this is
have a
going on is
point,
because you people are
Witsit.
trying to be pedantic. My
No,
point
it's
was
not. You're
that
not right. You're
my
just
point was
absolutely
that the
wrong.
scale is just measuring the amount of force or the pressure exerted
Not
over
the
a certain
pressure.
area. That's
Pressure,
what I
you have to
said.
get close to
Don't
a
say
certain area.
or.
That doesn't make any
Now
sense.
you're saying that force and pressure are the same?
No, pressure over a certain area is a force.
No,
It says exerted over an area. It isn't
Oh my
over as in
god.
it's the numerator and denominator. So you guys are
Can
interpreting
I
it
ask
wrong.
a question? Witsit,
He's
if
saying it wrong.
pressure is force per area, and if pressure is force per area, and
didn't say
force
that.
is pressure per area, what are you saying?
You didn't say pressure
All
per
I'm
area.
saying
You
is
said
that when
pressure
you get on a
over
scale,
an area.
when you get on a scale, people say that you're being weighed, okay? So we're measuring weight. People say weight is mg, but in fact, what you are measuring is the amount of pressure pushed down on that scale over a certain area, which would be your feet. Okay,
No.
so you have amount of pressure
No,
pushed down on a certain
No.
area, and that's a
Because you wouldn't
force,
change.
and you're
If you make
measuring
your
the
feet bigger,
force. And
if you
oh
make your
my
feet bigger,
god,
you
dude,
wouldn't
stop!
Hold on,
weigh
Zanik.
more.
Hold on,
Zanik,
Zanik.
your
Making
pressure
mistakes left
changes
and
if you're
right.
I know, but
bigger.
Zanik, it's
Zanik,
fast
if you're
when
way bigger, you're pushing more pressure on the
No,
scale,
if
you
your feet are
moron.
bigger,
Nick, just look at the
if your
picture that
feet
Nick
are bigger, you
posted,
still weigh the same.
and we'll move on. Nick posted a
Yeah?
picture in there. You're clearly wrong. That's what they're trying to tell you. It's in the picture. There it is. Easy day.
Admit it.
Oh, I'm clearly
Admit it,
wrong.
you're
Here's a
wrong.
picture. Coach, so you're an intellectual giant.
I mean,
Can I
it's
tell you
common
something,
sense. All you gotta do is look at the
seriously.
picture. It's
No, what I'm saying is objective.
It's
Yeah,
not.
the
Yeah,
amount of
it's objective to your
pressure that is
intelligence.
exerted is a force. Okay, now where is it exerted? It's over a certain area. So
Yes,
the amount of pressure in a certain area is a force. Now you're measuring a force on a
No,
scale, but
it's
you
not.
people think it has something
It's
to do
not.
with mass and
It's not.
gravity, but it doesn't. It has to do with density,
It's not.
medium, coherency, location, and
Coherency.
vector.
Zanik, he's not gonna get it. There's no point in beating into him.
How about
Wait,
this?
watch
That's a
this.
really
Zanik,
important part.
are you saying coherency doesn't have anything to do with it?
You tell me how it does.
Okay, I'll tell you how. So if I take a neodymium iron boron magnet before I make it a magnet and I drop it down to the ground, which has a steel plate on it, it's going to fall at roughly 9.8 meters per second squared. If I then make it a magnet, which means I've changed the coherency, it's much more coherent now, and then I drop it, it's going to drop extremely fast. That objectively proves that the coherency of an object can affect its rate of fall.
That is the biggest bunch of
That
nonsense.
objectively proves that the
If you drop
coherency
it
of an
over a
object can
magnet,
affect
you just said
the
you're
rate
dropping a
of
magnet
fall.
over a piece of metal.
Yes, but here's the deal now. You have a spectrum of coherency,
man.
right? Yeah, but listen, you have a spectrum of coherency.
Okay,
So
look,
not
let me
everything
just-
is like a
Zanik,
super coherent
hold on,
magnet.
man.
But listen,
if I weigh.
Has he been taking lessons from Lemon on the side?
Exactly.
wow.
If I
Exactly.
weigh 1,000.
You jumped in and you're just derailing? That's all you have? At least Kosho's trying to talk about it.
Very right.
We need to go through
Okay.
the turbo encabulator.
Dude, Kosho, do you agree that there's a spectrum?
Sure.
Kosho, do you agree that there's a
And Wiki
spectrum
just
of
can't stop
coherence, right?
talking,
Like,
really.
Kosho, do you agree? There's, like, some things can be coherent, like real coherent, like that magnet, right? And then some things can be incoherent, but then an object can be even more incoherent. Like, there's a spectrum of incoherency.
Coherency
Like,
has
as you,
nothing to do with how
much
weight
percentage of
and
coherency do we
gravity
have?
works.
I know because I don't, dude.
There's
I'm
just
saying weight
no,
isn't
there's just
mg,
no parallel
dude.
with a theory of coherence.
You're so
and
lost,
weighing
dude.
something on a
So
piece of
lost.
steel.
You're
Can I ask a
lost.
question?
No,
Wait,
the point is
hold
asking
on.
questions. Just say what you
Yeah.
think. Don't ask a question. Say what you think.
This guy is just
he
nothing but
said something
devolving the
about-
conversation.
Something about you're doing pressure over an area when you're standing on a scale, right?
Yeah.
So you're standing with 2 feet on the scale, right? Right. So if you stand on 1 foot, does that mean you exert more pressure?
No, really, the area would be the scale itself.
But the area is smaller. 2 feet is bigger area than 1 foot.
No, the amount of area that you're measuring the force on is the scale size.
Well, what if we make the scale half the size?
You guys got to make sure you're talking about the same thing here, man.
If you make the scale half the size, but you can still get your whole body on it, then you're still going to weigh the same amount of force, you clown.
Just change the area. I just change the area.
Yeah, but if you can still fit your whole body on it, it's still going to measure the same amount of
But that's a
force.
smaller area.
Changed.
Okay, the pressure over a given amount of area, which would be the amount that you are pressing down on within the scale, gets met.
Let me just tell you something.
Hold on.
Argue like fifth grade things. People are dumb
He's going to die on this pointless hill.
Listen, man, you got to stop putting it on top of people.
Come on.
Hey,
people just have the confidence of consensus, and you people argue so you don't understand.
End it.
Pressure is a force per unit area. Pressure is not vector. It's scalar. You know what that means?
I didn't say that. It was vector.
I'm asking you simple questions. Yes or no? Do you know what that means? Because I'll tell you the answer.
For fuck's sake, don't ask questions. Just tell him.
Okay, scalar has no vector.
First person to get mad loses.
It just has a magnitude. That's it. No direction.
Yeah, we know.
So you're
we
wrong.
know. Well,
you're wrong.
okay. Well, no, I'm not, because that's a good thing I didn't say that. So I never said pressure wasn't scalar. You're just an idiot. So what I said was weight.
Don't you get it yet? It doesn't.
I said weight is relevant.
I said weight. Your questions.
I said weight's relevant to many things, right? So the density of the object in the medium, the coherency, the location, the vector. You're saying no? It doesn't have anything to do with the density?
Nope.
So weight has nothing to do with density. Is that your claim?
No.
So are you saying a sumo wrestler weighs the same in water as he does outside of the pool?
Then you're talking about multiple forces now.
Okay, so he weighs quote unquote different in the water. So
I can be a helium balloon and still weigh 2,000 pounds. So no, it doesn't have to do with density at all.
No, the density of the object and the medium. That's what I said.
Gravity.
Yeah, he might.
Okay, so I'll say it again.
Really should be nicer to each other, and progress could be better. I bet.
No, not if you're going to be dishonest. So weight is relevant, which is just the amount. Right? Really, it's just acceleration. But when it's not acceleration. It's the pressure. Your paradigm says the scale. Your paradigm says that the object, dude. Your paradigm says the object on the scale is still accelerating downward and the scale is accelerating upward at the same time. That's what your paradigm actually says. So I'm the crazy one, though. But my point is that weight's just acceleration or pressure once it's still and it's already established equilibrium. Weight is. I'm almost done. Weight is relative to the medium, the density, the coherency, location, vector.
Nothing to do with the medium.
Yes, it does. A sumo wrestler if a 5-year-old walks up to a sumo wrestler, if a 5-year-old walks up to a sumo wrestler and tries to push him, he can't. But then when she's in a pool with him, she can push him. The medium changed his weight.
No, it doesn't.
What's up?
How do you actually intellectually gauge you with a discussion when you actually redefine stuff in things that are contradictory? For instance,
I don't believe in mass and gravity.
Pressure. The whole thing about pressure, you redefined it 3 different times, and they contradict each other.
No, they don't.
So how can you actually expect
okay, which one did I say that contradicts itself? What did I say that contradicts itself about pressure?
Discussion.
What did I say that contradicts itself about pressure?
The question still is, how can you actually think that we can engage you?
What did I say that contradicted myself about pressure, though?
When you redefine stuff and obviously don't understand it.
So he's allowed to just monologue about his feelings and not say shit about the conversation.
The last one talking is the winner. The Witsit's world is the last one talking is the winner. It doesn't matter what the content is. Doesn't matter about accuracy.
There we go. Please just keep talking about me like y'all have juice in the real world because no one respects you in the real world.
Rubbish until completely hopping around the subjects, inverting all the parameters, blah 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 blah, until everybody else just gives up in despair.
Right, thank you. Right, let's have last words on this. Anyone who wants in on it.
I have a quick question.
I wanted to say something about gravity from a while ago.
I think he went.
I want to raise my hand.